Cool. So today we are going to do shrimp and grits, and there's so much to say about shrimp and grits in terms of they are simple yet they're gourmet, and there's you can do them kind of quickly or you can really take your time. And this version of shrimp and grits, I think it's fair and important that I have to say this is. A dinner date version of shrimp and grits. This is not you wake up in the morning and you just need to put something together real quick. This is something that if you're trying to make the best shrimp and grits possible, this is, I think, going to be the answer to that. So, right now I have everything displayed for you. Basically, I have things a little bit in two sections here. We have the main event here, obviously. But we're going to develop a stock from the shrimp first, and then we'll deal with the grits, which will take a while, and then kind of bringing this all together in the end with our spices and whatnot. The other thing reason why I'm saying this is a gourmet version of shrimp and grits is because we're using really expensive stone ground grits, and if you can afford them, I highly recommend them. I think they make all the difference in the world. They have so much flavor that the 5-minute grits just do not have, and well worth the money if you can buy that. So yeah, with that, let's get started. So we're going to take care of the shrimp first, and to do that, we're going to. I just quickly washed them, but I got a little workstation going here. So here are my shrimp. This is where I'm going to put the heads and the shells. And then from here, I'm going to put into just the fresh meat, the leftover meat. Going to tear off the head there. Cut down the back here. I often feel that scissors are the best way to do this. And I think, of course, you got to devein if you can.
I would use a paper towel.
Yeah. There we got it there.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
Clean.
Yep.
And put that in there.
You think hello? You think?
So what I've done right now is I've taken my finished peeled shrimp and heads, and I'm going to add my vegetables to this. And then I'm going to take the shrimp meat that I've got, and I'm just going to place that in the fridge until I'm ready for it. Cool. I've got my shrimp heads and bodies here, and we're just adding in some veg here into our pot because this is going to be stock. We're actually going to drain this later, so this is just going to all go in here as stock. What we've done so far is we've got our veggies in here, which is mainly just onion, tomato, and carrot. And then we got our shrimp heads and the shrimp bodies. And we brought this kind of on into a high heat with just a little bit of oil so that we could develop that gold right there. That fawn right there is everything. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to make all of that perfectly, wonderfully useful with a little deglaze. We're choosing to go with Modelo. Something like a light beer or a light wine usually works best for this. I'm going to pour this in. I'm not going to use the whole can. I just want enough to kind of scrape off that fawn. You might be able to see that it's all coming up. kind of nicely
Pull
there.
some more.
Maybe a little bit more, yeah. Just enough to get cover the bottom. And it usually will require a little bit of scraping here. But it'll come up pretty easy. And this is actually coming up real easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see that?
Yep.
Okay. For the grits, we're gonna need
8 cups.
about 8 cups, yeah. So that's almost looking there, but we can always reduce, so I'm gonna put in a little bit more.
Pints about 2 cups. So
Right.
far we have whatever the Modelo was, and 2 of those plus a half. So that's 5 cups so far.
Well, when I measured earlier with 4 cups, that's looking like we got double 4 cups, but it's really not gonna be bad to have a little bit too much.
Okay, so that's
Again, we're going to take this up to, we don't want to boil this, but we want this to simmer for about 40 minutes. And we're just going to use the oven timer here. I think at 40 minutes we should be good. And I'll keep an eye on this so that we're not boiling. I do want this to come up to a boil, but as soon as it does, bring it to a simmer for a good stock. While we got our stock coming up to a simmer and getting ready for us, there's no harm in getting our mise en place, our things ready for the next plate, which is the main course. So I'm just going to cut up our serrano, bell peppers, and tomatoes here. We're also going to use some ginger. I think that's going to add a lot of flavor. So. Good stuff. It's been 40 minutes now, and it looks like, from what we got here, it looks like we have some absolutely fantastic stock come together. That deep, rich color, just to me, it's a sings flavor, right? Oh my gosh, and it smells good. So we're just gonna drain this all. Again, all we're looking for the 2 cups of grits is about 8 cups of stock. If we don't have enough, we can just add in a little bit of water at the end. But I think we're looking really good here. Again, what we're going to need for the 2 cups of the grits is 8 cups of our stock. So we're going to measure off just to make sure that we've got the right amount. And again, anything that if we need more, we can add it with water. We're probably going to have to. But this is thick anyway, so got 4 cups here. Just going to pour that off. Oop, I'm losing a little. Okay.
Then try the rest of it.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see how much we got. Probably best to have that little strainer to get the remaining stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so we ended up, just put that there. Let's just fill this up, the remaining amount, with water. Okay. It's a little bit extra. Now, with grits, some of the instructions will say to just throw in the grits right away. You can at this point you could throw in the grits, just bring it to a boil and then simmer. I like to kind of boil the stock or the water first and then slowly stir in the grits. So we're just going to bring this up to temp. One very important step while you're cooking is, as much as possible, I don't got to do it all the time, but make sure that you're tasting along the way, in the beginning, middle, end. Okay, this tastes fantastic, but I think this is definitely the point where we need to add probably quite a bit of salt, to be honest. This is quite a bit of stock.
And then the grits are going to go in.
Yeah, and the grits are going to come in here too. So I'll start with that. They're almost coming up to temp. Stir that in. As soon as they kind of, yeah, we're almost there. I think we're at the point where we can actually start to stir in the grits. The grits, I definitely recommend when you're doing grits using a whisk. I mean, you can do it with some other tools, but I think the whisk is just going to be your best friend. And the other thing about, well, I'm going to try and do it, just choosing which hand I want to pour and which hand I want to stir. What you want to make sure is that your grits don't kind of stick to the bottom right away, and that you don't pour in the whole thing at once, because it's just going to become like this big kind of heavy clump that you're going to have to break up. When making grits, you always want to just kind of lightly stir in and stir along the way, because you're really not in a hurry to get these grits in the water. You just want to make sure that it doesn't become clumpy. All the TLC we put into making the stock so far, and then watching the grits and constantly stirring them. It's going to need about 40 minutes all in at least. Sometimes my grits honestly will take like an hour. But the one thing, the golden rule, is make sure that you're stirring and keeping an eye on the grits as they start to thicken. So I'm thinking this is looking fantastic, and just going to give them a little time, keep an eye on them, and even when I'm doing my other dish, I'm probably going to come back and keep stirring here. To start the shrimp off in their own pan, we're going to start with just a couple slices of bacon here and get these nice and crispy. I've already heated up the pan, which is always good if you're going to work with bacon. Heat the pan up first. And we're just going to cook these, and then when those are done, I'm going to take them out, and then I'm going to put in the other ingredients. I'm going to bring these back at the very end, and after they're all cooked, I'm going to cut them up, and these are going to be garnished at the end. We're just taking off the bacon. I'm going to leave all the bacon fat in there, because we're going to throw in our shrimp, and we're going to throw in our veggies and everything, and all of that bacon fat is flavor. I'm going to let these rest here. The timer went off for our grits, and we're going to take a look at them here. Yep. Ooh, these are going to, I think these are going to be good. Yeah, this is kind of what we're looking for here. Something that Andrea and I were talking about while this was all cooking is the color. We got the color, and I think, I just want to kind of like throw this in here, because this is my maybe fear. A lot of people may be thinking that grits have to be white. I think It's obviously down to the stock that you're using and the kind of other ingredients. I guarantee you this is going to be flavorful as heck, but just as we get there, I'm going to turn off the heat now. I think we're basically there now. We're going to give it a taste test. But that kind of consistency is what you're looking for. I kind of want this. What we're going to do, well, first I'll taste it. Oh my God, that's good. That is really, really good. What we got here is the remainder of the bacon fat, oiled and greased down in the bottom. We've added our serranos, bell pepper, tomato, shrimp, corn, and a little bit of ginger. Thank you. Okay. So now we're gonna kind of cook this. This will take not so long. I don't want to overcook the shrimp, and I don't want to overcook the veg that we all have in here. The corn is going to be fine. What we're going to make sure that we do as soon as possible, though, is add all our seasoning. So even before I'm going to put on the temp, I just put it all in the pan. But now, before I even bring up the temperature, I'm going to salt and pepper first. We might add more salt and pepper later, but then we have all these golden, wonderful spices over here. I'm going to bring them on over. We got our Tony Chachere, a little bit of Tabasco, a little bit of Tapatio, some paprika, and cayenne. Now I don't want to overload it. All of these are pretty powerful on their own. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of Tony Chachere. I hope this doesn't make me sneeze. This always usually does when Andrea is using it somewhere. Just a little bit of each. And then if I feel like I need more, we'll go from there. Tapatio, I gotta say, this is something that, like, so many of my dishes, I will put just a few spritz of this into. Sometimes I even sneak this into dishes and don't even mention it. This is a flavor bomb. So, Tony Chachere it is, and then just a little bit. This is very heavy, obviously, Tabasco, heavy on the vinegar, so I'm not going to use too much. But now, let's just go ahead and put some heat on this. We'll probably just stir this all together. That oil from the bacon, I think, is going to be so delicious in here. And again, the one thing that I'm going to try and avoid is overcooking the shrimp till they're rubbery. So I want the vegetables to kind of come down, I guess wilt a little bit, add some juices and flavor to everything. But I want to be careful of overcooking our shrimp. We've just taste tested everything. Overall, it's looking great, but we're definitely at the finishing stage, so we're going to put some lemon in here. It's coming across as a little spicy, but I think it's very flavorful. I think the sweetness of the grits will kind of eventually balance everything out. So we're going to take that off the temp. Now that's only been there for maybe 5 minutes. And so we're going to come over, get our garnish ready. Gonna take off a little bit, some things. I just washed these, and we're not gonna need a lot, but just some green onion to bring some freshness in at the end. I think that'll be enough. We got our bacon here. Pull this over here. Kind of chop this up. I think the more kind of uneven, the better. I don't think it needs to be perfectly chopped up.
Really see.
You see that?
Yep. There you go.
It's had time to dry and kind of come to temp, which I think is going to be fantastic overall. So right now we're ready to plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both our bowls. Grab a serving spoon. This will probably actually work. Not completely ideal, but where is, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So you can tell if you want to get a good shot of that. These have definitely kind of congealed even more as they've cooled down. So this is going to be for my wife, Andrea. Let me know. You're there? Okay. All right. And you mentioned that you would like some cheese on yours. Just going to throw a little bit. You just want a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to call that a little bit. Pull up some goodness here. Veg.
That's good.
Okay. Wait, and then put some bacon on there.